Can you tell us a little bit about some of the more revealing images that you've come across?
Well, the very first one that made me go quiet, I didn't talk to family or friends for a couple of days, was a Soho image that was, I think, done or shot on 1996, February 5th. Excuse me, February 1st. It was my daughter's birthday, February 1st. And it had right at the far corner of the field of view where the sun is always in the center of these images. So you have to imagine with me that the field of view has about 3 or 4 suns on either side as far as space. So it's got a lot of space involved, not just the sun in the center, but you can see a lot around it. And in the upper right corner was a group of lights that was not quite diamond shaped, but pear shaped. And there were 6 across the top and 6 across the bottom, evenly spaced, well organized, and had nothing to do with an asteroid, comet, cosmic rays, camera artifacts. It was simply not supposed to be there, and it was there. That was a year after I started looking into all these images. It's been 4 years since that time, and I'm actually up to about 45,000 now. Images that make you scratch your head and go, what am I seeing? Because it's not natural and it's not a camera problem.
Okay. Have you sought the help of other experts in the field to kind of gauge their reaction to what these things might be?
I did initially, and unfortunately some of the experts that I had gone to with PhDs and doctors attached to their name are hesitant to give me a yes, because it's really my research. They haven't delved into it. They haven't worked with me on what I'm doing. And I find the tendency for PhDs in this field not to want to lose credibility by leaning into this with a yes or no. I'm encouraged. They don't discourage me, but it's interesting to watch the humanness of what if this guy is right? What do we do now? And I'm not going to just give away my PhD as a support when they just haven't had the time to come behind me and either replicate my data or work with me on it. So I haven't got anybody's attention yet that has that kind of time to follow what I'm doing.
Well, you never know. They may very well be watching what you're doing, but if they come forward and support you, they probably don't want to give you the validity of what you're doing.
It's possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's real possible.
Yeah. David, look, assuming that they are alien spacecraft, I've read recently that we could be looking at our future if they are alien spacecraft, because they must be enormous to be able to spot them from this distance. I've heard the term extraterrestrial intelligence spacecraft. Can you explain what that would be?
Well, it's kind of it's the same term, because anything dealing with a spacecraft means there's intelligence behind it. In the few hundred, what we've been flying about 100 years, maybe 110 years since the Wright brothers took off. We have spacecraft now at the edge of our own solar system. So anything that we've achieved in the air and in space was intelligently designed. So if you flip it around and look from the outside in, and intelligence was looking for intelligence, they would see what we have, and we would see what they were doing. And I think that's kind of what we have right now. Is NASA is looking for technosignatures. That's what they call them. They're not using the word UFOs. And they even had a conference on it last year in Texas in search of technosignatures. I missed it because I didn't get the notification in time, else I would have been there. And I would have told them, I'll show you where they're at, but perhaps next year. The the issue is, even though NASA has identified astrobiology as the next big question mark with a lot of research that needs to happen, they also are doing it by trying to find an exoplanet with life on it. And in my research, what I'm trying to tell the folks that I do presentations for is, well, if they're intelligent like we are, and they're a couple hundred years ahead of us, or a couple thousand years ahead of us in intelligence, why are we looking for them on their planet when they're probably already star traveling? And if they're star traveling, why don't we just look at our star, because it's the best source of light for the photography we're doing. And quite frankly, I'm using the best camera systems in the world that aren't mine. Of course, as taxpayers, we paid for them. And they're kept up by the best scientific minds on the planet. And if we're catching their craft going by our star, then it would be an easy jump of logic to say it's possible we don't have to look at exoplanets anymore for life. We just need to watch the traffic going through our star system.
Mm-hmm. So in actual fact, they could possibly be other civilizations that perhaps have got trouble on their own world, and they've had to kind of build like an ark, and they're just traveling around space.
It's real possible. And even more so, what if they just have that much intelligence and that much advancement where it's done because it's a natural progression, like we're progressing. We're all now trying to do what? Go to Mars. Mm-hmm. Well, Mars is not going to be the final planet. Then it's going to be the next star system, and look at all the exoplanets there that we can inhabit. I think it's just a natural progression of intelligent life. So I don't think it's any different than we're on. We're just the new kids on the block.
Yeah. We mentioned about these must be huge objects. Have you tried to estimate how long these things would be? We're talking miles.
Oh, Dean, I got that question in my last presentation, and this is how I answered it. There's no rangefinder on the solar satellite system. So when a picture is taken from a satellite, it doesn't give you the range for objects in between the sun and itself. Now, the range is known from the satellite to the sun. That's the only known distance we have. If something comes in between, there's no way to identify, except in cases where the object is interfering with the chromosphere of the sun, or if you see something that is appearing from behind the sun. At that point, let's take the SOHO satellite. It's 1 million miles away from Earth, between us and the sun. So at 92 million miles distance in the focal view, if I catch something going behind the sun, I know for a fact the minimum is 92 million miles away. Or if the photo shows something interfering with the chromosphere, so the object is going through the sun's atmosphere, I can again approximate about 92 million miles away. I do have images where there are objects that are interfering with the sun's chromosphere that are planet-sized. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking the small planets, the large planets. So at that point, I'm going to have to say it varies, and it varies to an extent that's kind of mind-blowing at this point, because no one else is seeing what I'm seeing, except when I show them the pictures and they say, "You've got to be kidding me." So it's a new paradigm for people. This is life at a grand scale.
Mm-hmm. And have you thought anything about why they would be so close to the sun itself?
Well, sure. Some of the videos that I have show these objects, at least the presence of something parking next to the sun, and allowing what they call the filaments to, I guess, I want to call it like a gas station where you pull up and fill up, but I'm not sure what they're doing or exactly why they're doing it. I just know that they'll park next to the sun for a little bit and then depart. So what they're doing, Dean, I just don't know. This is new to me, like it is for those I do the presentations for. Um, but I'm going to have to assume, since the sun is got a variety of things going on, it may just be refueling. It could be as simple as that.
We see it. We see the images that are captured by normal people, you know, with their smartphones, a camera, maybe even a video camera, and a lot of the times the images, all the film is dismissed as being just a natural anomaly, that they may have caught something in the glare. But these are pretty hard to argue with, aren't they? Because they come straight from NASA.
Well, that's why it's so much fun. I have a blast doing even weather satellites. I've got a couple of weather satellites looking at clouds, but there's something between the cloud and the satellite. So it's the best camera system you could ever have. Unfortunately, you're not in charge of it. You don't get to pick the times when you snap the picture. And it's really hard to get the subjects to stop long enough to get a really good view because they're going so quickly. But luckily, there's enough images to go through to glean some pretty interesting data that's hard to refute. And yeah, so I'm working with the best cameras on the planet, and sustained and maintained by the smartest guys around. So I have no problem doing it that way, because there's really no question on the validity of the data being pulled in.